Well, on Saturday, there was the much anticipated march in London, and the scale of it, I think, surprised many, many people. Estimates of about 30,000 people in the streets of London, marching all the way down to Parliament, and it was noisy, it was vociferous, and I have to say much of it, it seems, was a fine line between standing up for a free Palestine and incitement of real hatred against the state of Israel and therefore the people that live in it. From the river to the sea, Palestine should be free is a chant that basically says Israel as a country should be obliterated. Not that I'm suggesting it was an easy job for the police, but it wasn't just here. Manchester also had another very similar protest, as indeed did Belfast, and you can see the Irish tricolours there. And Edinburgh as well had a protest. Interestingly, the parents of the Scottish First Minister were in that crowd in Edinburgh. The nature of some of this was deeply unpleasant. You can see here scenes of marchers in the London street, and they're busy chanting, and we've actually muffled the noise because some of the language that is being used isn't very pleasant. And then they see a man with an Israeli flag. Now, you may say that was something of an act of provocation, but absolutely his right to do so. And you see the police basically shielding him for his own protection. So some of this was very, very unpleasant. Other things that were seen on that march were clearly outright glorification of the terrorist murders, the 1,200 terrorist murders that took place in Israel. See these two women. They've sellotaped to the back of their jackets pictures of a paraglider. Parachutes, paragliders, as you know, this was what was used for that festival, those young people at that music festival, over 200 of whom were killed. Later on in the evening, it seemed a celebration with a big crowd in Trafalgar Square, fireworks being set off into the sky, and indeed statues of former monarchs of this country being defaced. One of the things I find just so incredibly confusing is how the progressive left and some of the youth seem to be supporting this Palestinian cause. Here we have an extraordinary sign saying Queers for Palestine. Now, I don't quite know when that picture was taken, whether it was Saturday, whether it was before, but perhaps these people saying Queers for Palestine ought to understand that in Gaza, homosexuality between men is illegal, punishable by 10 years in prison, and many accounts that Hamas actually torture those they believe to be homosexual. But this shows the absolute mess that the so-called progressive left have got into. Many on the left appear to be supporting an ideology that is not very far away from that emerged in Germany in the early 1930s. And I really, genuinely believe that. And perhaps no surprise that the star speaker on Saturday was, of course, one Jeremy Corbyn. And the last image I'm going to show you from Saturday is the most disgraceful one. Yes, that is the Cenotaph. And right next to it is a stage that's been put up with slogans about Palestine. Quite how the local council or the police, and they're now blaming each other, could have allowed that to be put up next to the Cenotaph, I simply don't know. It all really makes me ask the question, is this now modern Britain? Are those scenes reflective now of really quite a large part of our population?